Welcome everybody to the Area 111 live stream. This is your host RH coming at you from again the beautiful sunshine, kind of rainy state of Florida today. But anyways, let me turn this volume down a little bit. The echo's working fine. That means the audio is working fine on YouTube. I can check Rumble real quick. Now, this isn't clickbait, okay? These are things that actually happen. Okay, I'll discuss them in a minute. One attack by a terrorist was in Waynesville or Wayne, Michigan. The other one was in Damascus, Syria. Okay, what does that have to do with us? You know, everything. Whether you're a Christian, you identify yourself as a Christian or not, these people are terrorists. They don't care what your allegiance is to. They don't care what your faith is. Acts of terrorism is to try to compel us to do their will. That's not God's will. And of course, we have to watch out for the false flags to basically get us involved in, you know, uh, things in a little bit deeper than what we really should be involved in. Okay, I'm going to talk about self-defense, a defensive action that was taken at I guess 10 or 2:10 a.m. this morning in Iran. And I'll explain exactly how that is a defensive. That was a defensive act of defense. Okay, explain that as best I can. And there's going to be people that go, "Oh no, that was an offensive attack." No, that was purely defensive, based on the threat. You see a threat coming right at you, and the threat pertains death to America or death to Israel or wiping Israel off the map. That's coming right at you, whether you're the Israeli leadership or you're the U.S. leadership. Your primary job is to defend Americans, either abroad or at home. And that includes our churches. So there was one fatality in Wayne, Michigan. There were 9 fatalities of the terrorist attacks that have occurred. I believe both of them today. That Wayne, Michigan was a couple hours ago, I believe it was. And we do have video footage of that. It's out there on the internet already in case you haven't seen it. Well, the skirmish, I believe, was based on the video inside the church. We saw all the children there, right? Because that's a soft target for terrorists. They pick soft targets to terrorize people into doing their will. Of course, there won't be any people out there that basically say, "Okay, you're not going to have a manifesto." It's kind of funny. 5 days ago, I believe it was, or I don't know. I didn't see it. I was informed of it. I guess it was the 10-year anniversary of the attack on the church, predominantly, uh, you know, uh, church in, let's just say, in Charleston, because I'm not going to play the race game. It was a church in Charleston where a guy, they're playing this up again, right? Why did they start talking about it? I don't know if that was the anniversary or not, but remember the guy went in with a gun and started killing mostly black Christians, right? Or all black Christians, right? So they went in that church and then the media started taking over, right? Trying to take over the narrative. He's a racist. He's got a rebel flag, a white supremacist, and all that stuff. The guy had a black friend. He was out of his mind. He lost his mind. So, probably maybe a copycat, whatever. I don't know what his intentions was, but it's a lot of problems about that, and supposedly stopping off at Burger King, to give him a great bite to eat or whatever on his way to jail. I don't know if that's true or not, but we have to watch out. That guy with the red leotards and the pitchfork and the horns, right? His favorite tactic is divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. So there has been, as far as the Israeli war against Iran, I guess you can call it as Israeli war against Iran. We did not declare war on Iran. We took defensive measures to take out a nuclear threat. Oh, all right. They've been saying this for 20, 30 years that they were going to develop a nuclear weapon. 20 or 30 years. RH. There's no threat there. No threat whatsoever. No threat whatsoever, right? Oh, and far as last night, I disclosed a couple things that were near and dear to me. And I got a little bit excited. I kind of explained what RH has been going through. Basically, since 2018, actually, even before that, before 2018. So we all have them in our family, right? We all have them, whatever. We all have at least one, you know, uh, and unfortunately, I explained a couple other things, and they use opportunity like that to try to hurt you, right? They'll use whatever. They'll make false statements, try to get you thrown away. It's stupid, evil games, that a lot of us have to put up with. So I must be on the right trail then, because, if you're on the right trail, you're going to have pushback, right? From these demons. And that's basically exactly who they are. You can watch their faces contort. You can listen to their actually their voice changes. You know, I mean, 3 or 4 times in once in a couple of sentences, their voice changes like 3 or 4 times. If that doesn't kind of like wake people up, as far as how these individuals are demonically possessed, I don't know how to help you. It's obvious. And yeah, of course, I think it was in Tel Aviv. They struck a mosque in Tel Aviv. Who's been firing off uh, ballistic ballistic missiles into civilian neighborhoods? They're attacking apartment complexes where Americans live, where they're going because they're going to their college in Israel. Yeah, I think it was Ron DeSantis, governor here in Florida, basically just said he working, I guess, with the president, Department of Defense, whatever, and providing flights for all Americans that want to leave Israel to come back to the United States. Like I said last night, I believe on last night's live stream, there's thousands of Americans that live in Israel or they're there, you know, um, Either they have dual citizenship, whatever they're there going to college and visiting the sites and staying there. There's a lot of times where we have Americans, they go there on vacation and they spend 3 or 4 months or even longer just on vacation alone to see all the sites, you know, and visit the historical sites. So, you know, the avatar photograph, in case you're wondering, what is that, RH, far as that photograph there goes? That's Mount Nebo. Remember the mount that Moses uh, and was shown the promised land? Remember that? Historic site, still there. I guess that's part of Jordan, right? So he could see, I guess, on a clear day back then, he could see the promised land, right? So this is a great tourist location. I'd love to go visit it one day. You know, think about it. Just step on the same ground that Moses walked. You know what I mean? So there's like a dedication, kind of like a thing for Moses there on top of Mount Nebo. Okay. And it's really cool. Really cool. But yeah, so let's go into this. Okay, the uh the Syrian Damascus terrorist attack, it killed 9 people so far. Now there were people probably wounded as well. So we're waiting for the final, number. Maybe some of those wounded. We have to pray for those victims, far as that were wounded, and pray for the victims' family that lost their loved ones in that terrorist attack. So, you know, then you have, um, of course, in Wayne, Michigan, you had a crazy guy basically try to run into the church, and he started trying to fire at people. He fired and wounded a security guard that works for the church. I guess he hit him in the leg or something. Another person that's attending the church basically had to run his car into that terrorist, and basically it knocked the terrorist off his feet. It gave the security guard enough time to actually shoot and kill the terrorist. So out of that, there's injuries involved. I don't know how many injuries are involved in Wayne, Michigan, but there's um, definitely the security guard um, was wounded, and I do believe he earned the Medal of Freedom, and I'm pretty sure he's a hero in my book because he didn't run away from the threat. He charged the threat, and he's basically is shot and wounded. Uh, you know, and then another person, I guess, from the congregation or goes to that church, hit that terrorist in his car or her car, and it gave the security guard time to aim and shoot and take out that threat. So that terrorist is killed, was killed. Now, um, I'm pretty sure the terrorist attack. Hold on one second. Yeah, I apologize for that quick break there. So basically, I covered it. That's all I want to basically pretty much point out today, and that's the reason why I thought it was important enough. So, far as churches around the country and other places around the world, uh, you know, you know what the threat is. So, cause let's discuss that threat. How that was defensive measures to protect innocent people from a terrorist organization, number one state sponsor of terrorism. That's what they're designated by the what do you call that? U.S. State Department, also the IRGC. I'm pretty sure they're still basically designated as a terrorist organization. So now we already know how close they were. They had all the components basically to put together a bomb if they didn't already have warheads already, the nuclear warheads. We don't know, but basically, it's going to take lot of effort. Not by United States, uh, but other other people that are basically been fighting this acts of terrorism for quite some time, and we've basically suffered from that too because we've had, as they have said, President Trump has talked about Marco Rubio on Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo. That's a very good source to listen to. A very sharp guy, and he basically uh, pointed out all the facts the best he could and what he could inform the people. Right. So there's things that they can inform the people about. That's because it could affect ops negatively affect OPSEC, Operation Security, and jeopardize our men and women in uniform, you know, or other states that are involved in stopping that terrorist threat. So if someone's coming at us with a lethal with lethal force, right? They're coming at us. They're coming at us. They threaten death to our country, right? They're coming at us. They're coming at us. They're coming at another country. They threaten basically to wipe off the map. They're coming at them. They're coming at them. They're coming at them. What do you think the people would do if the leaders of those countries, and talking about Israel and the United States and other countries as well, if they took no defensive measures to protect their people and something did actually happen? Well, some things have already been happening. They've been launching ballistic missiles into civilian neighborhoods. Those are indiscriminate uh, terrorist attacks to basically strike fear and terror in the hearts of all of those that don't support that regime, to do their will. That's what they are. Let's call it like what it is. So that was a defensive measure that we took to take out the immediate threat. The immediate threat. Now, there's offensive measures where we go out and we just take out all of their uh, defensive positions, or their not defensive, but their military bases and that kind of thing. But they've already waged a war on Israel. Israel and Iran are already at war. They've been at war, you know, even through the proxies. They call the proxies Hamas, Hezbollah, and this is what I've been hearing lately, the Houthis, right? So they've been attacking through those proxies. Now, I got some questions as far as Russia's part in all of this, and basically, from my understanding, Russian Sergei Lavrov just stated during an interview that Russians went and basically picked up fission material from Iran and took it back to Russia. Now, I would like to know what that entails. So, if they picked up fission material, is was Lavrov talking about nuclear weapon grade uranium at 90%? I don't know. I was about to look that up. Okay, fission grade material, right? I was about to look it up, but you know, looks like my air conditioning's down again. So icing over again. It's crazy. But anyways, I'm gonna have to. That air conditioning is only 3 years old. You know. So anyways, going through those problems, and you know what I mean. So and I discussed some other problems, and I normally don't go out there like that, but they're doing this to other people as well in our community, and it's got to stop. They'll find any way they're going to find any way to go after you. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's nothing compared to what they've done to President Trump, the lawfare, the actual just breaking the law, what they've done to him, setting up broader criminal conspiracies to overthrow him before he even got in office, falsely accusing him as a Russian agent, colluding with Russia to interfere in our elections, right? So remember the Uranium One deal? So that's one of the reasons why they did that. They falsely accused Trump of colluding with Russia to interfere in our elections in 2016, right? So they could take over all the investigations and destroy the evidence on themselves. Remember July 9th or July 7th, 3 days after Independence Day in 2009, Barack Obama traveled with his intel chief, James Jones, went to Novo-Ogariovo, and in my opinion, put together the Uranium One deal. Now, what do you think the Russians did with that uranium that Russia acquired from United States? And they were paid through a certain global initiative foundation. Remember the C Foundation? Okay, so the President of the United States travels to Novo-Ogariovo with his entourage, with his chief of the intel, James Jones, right? Meets with Vladimir Putin. While in the meantime, Dmitry Medvedev was the president of Russia in Moscow. It's not proper protocol for the president of the United States to meet with a prime minister when the president is in Moscow. The reason why, in my opinion, he met with Putin, excuse me, Vladimir Putin in Novo-Ogariovo, because it was going to be an intel operation, a covert operation. Okay, so what was that fission material that that Russia basically went and collected from Iran and brought back to Russia? So did they already have the nuclear grade uranium at 90%? Was that part of the fission material that they picked up? Were they picking up nuclear warheads? Nuclear warheads. You know, there's a lot of intel on the ground over there, and eventually we'll probably find out. You know, we had like sniffers, and I heard other people saying from their sources, um, the radiation was at a level that before we struck those facilities, before Israel struck those facilities or damaged them or whatever, lightly damaged or whatever, um, the BDA, BDA concluded. But yeah, they have their boots on the ground covertly. They have the testers, they have the way to test the air for that stuff. So that basically helps them, far as their targeting goes. So, like I said, whether people like it or not, it was a defensive measure that the United States of America, President Trump, took. And could you imagine all these psychopaths out there impeach 47, right? Impeach 47. He wasn't authorized to defend America and our citizens in Israel and abroad, He wasn't authorized to do that. That's one of his main constitutional duties. He's one of his main constitutional duties. The Trump administration, President Trump did not declare war on Iran because there's great people over there. Unfortunately, when you live over there in Iran, I don't know if people know this or not, but you cannot have dual citizenship in Iran. If you live in Iran, you have to basically swear allegiance to them over there, right? You got to give up, from my understanding, some of your beliefs. And you have to basically say you're an Iranian citizen to live there. As far as my understanding, somebody fact check me if I'm wrong. I'll make the necessary corrections. So there needs to be a heightened security alert for our homeland, our country here. And churches are a soft target for these people to try to strike terror in the hearts. And remember, our citizens believe in God. 70%, and the last poll I reviewed, identify themselves here in the United States, to identify ourselves as Christians. So again, we have to take our protect our people, and thank you, Governor DeSantis, for taking the lead on that and getting those flights of people, American citizens, back home to our country where they're safe. And each church, I don't know. I'm going to basically have secure entrances in the church, you know, and you're probably going to have rovers on the outside of the church, and being lawfully armed to protect the people that are going to worship freely. And we should be that to worship freely should be protected in our country. Whether you identify yourself as a Muslim, whether you identify yourself as a Christian, or you identify yourself of the Jewish faith. Okay? Should be able to worship peacefully, freely. That's obvious. Okay, so I put out the information now. I'm going to have to weekend. Oh, this is going to be It's gonna be bad, probably. Well, pray for us, pray for RH, you know. So thank you for listening to the live stream. Please share the information unless you already know about it, and hopefully this might add a little bit more perspective, here, um, so far as what's going on around the world. God bless everyone, and y'all have a great day. Goodbye.